Hello everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here with the forecast for the first half of June. Welcome to June, where what was once planted in faith now rises in full bloom. This is the season of becoming, where inner growth reveals outer beauty and spirit meets manifestation under the sun's generous light. I love the month of June. Of course, there's going to be some trouble spots and some challenges that we will all have to face. Definitely collectively and more than likely personally. It's never smooth sailing. But through that, there's a very strong energy of growth and manifestation and abundance. A lot is coming to fruition. And it's also the season of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, winter in the Southern Hemisphere. We're coming upon the solstice, a time of light and radiance. A lot of things are coming into focus and full bloom. Gratitude is the attitude. We start the month off with kind of like a very background type of an energy, but it's nice. So we're going to go with it. This is that make-a-wish energy, wish upon a star, June 1st through the 6th. We've got Venus and Mercury and Jupiter and Uranus and Mars, all in semi-supportive aspects. It's better than tension. So June does really start off with the feeling of hope and possibility and abundance. And if you're not feeling that way, that's okay too. On June 6th, Venus will enter the sign of Taurus and she will remain there until July 4th. Venus rules the sign of Taurus. Venus is in her domicile here. She loves to be in Taurus. So the queen, Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and pleasure and money, aesthetics, our value systems, also justice and equality. Venus moves into Taurus. The queen returns to her throne. Venus is happy here. Things can feel a little bit more brighter, a little bit prettier, as can relationships and relationship dynamics. Finances are looking up too for the first half of June. Early June is a great time for financial investments. Of course, invest wisely with your own personal situation, but I really do like the beginning of June. And a lot of people ask me about Bitcoin and digital currency in general, and I will say, I don't know too much about it, but lately I've been studying the astrology of it, and I do like the first half of June. On June 8th, we've got Mercury at 29 degrees of Gemini, aligning with Jupiter at 29 degrees of Gemini. Now, Mercury is at the height of its power in the sign of Gemini, as Mercury rules Gemini. And at the 29th degree, Mercury's pretty loud. Mercury is sending out messages into the ethers, messages from the airways. Jupiter is expanding all of that. This can be a time of a lot of information and some potential misinformation. So you always want to fact check and source check. Mercury will then enter Cancer on the 8th at 6:58 p.m. Eastern Time and will remain there until June 26th. Mercury is not necessarily in a very powerful position in the sign of Cancer. We take the sign of the mind and thinking and the intellect, communication and expression, and we put it in the sign in the watery realms of Cancer, which isn't bad. It's just much more intuitive. We communicate much more from an internal space, and a lot of times it's more out of emotion than anything else. And we have to watch the potential to be communicating in a crankier manner. It's quite the shift when Mercury moves from Gemini into Cancer, and that occurs on June 8th. June 8th through June 11th is where it starts to heat up a little bit, especially on the emotional scale. It's okay to feel your feelings. Just know that we will all be feeling the feels. That can be positive, that could feel uncomfortable. It depends on the situation, of course, and your own personal reality. But just know that if you find yourself feeling more tender at this point, maybe a little bit more cranky, like you want to just check out and be by yourself, that's okay. Honor it. Honor your feelings. On June 9th, Mercury, now at 1 degree of Cancer, is in an exact square with Saturn. That's restriction, that's discipline, that's rules, that's boundaries. That's the pump the brakes energy. Take a minute, look around, reassess. You can't quite pass go yet. There could be a little bit of tension here in a specific relationship revolving around communication. We could also be feeling very tired at this point. Emotions are heightened. You're likely going to feel like you're floating along, and that's okay. And this will be stronger if you are in the earlier degrees of the cardinal signs, which are Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, or Aries. You'll definitely be feeling the heat and the tension of this. At the same time, you can feel very motivated to make changes overall, but unmotivated at this time, which would lead to frustrations, feelings of frustration. This too shall pass. Just remember that. We also have Venus now at 3 degrees of Taurus. And yes, Venus loves to be in the sign of Taurus, But Venus is squaring Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So this Venus-Pluto square can absolutely inject a sense of heat and urgency into relationships and relationship dynamics. It could also bring in some power struggles around control, especially if it has to do with money. And even more than that, money involved with somebody else in your life. So we just want to watch out for that. And there's some confusion swirling around at this point too. And because we're all going to be feeling a little bit more emotional and maybe even more tired, you just want to double check everything. This is also a great time to pull into the element of water. Take salt baths, get out to the water, listen to water sounds, water meditations, all very healing right now. The positive side of all of this is that our intuition is going to be much more heightened, but with all the confusion here, we have to be sure to tune in and trust it. Might be a little bit more challenging to sort the wheat from the chaff. And as we know, the energies are always a mixed bag, right? We have some really positive things, and then of course there's going to always be a sprinkle of something we might not love or a little blunder. But when we get to June 9th, Jupiter enters Cancer. This occurs at 5:02 p.m. Eastern Time, and Jupiter will remain in Cancer for a little over a year until the end of June of 2026. Jupiter's been in Gemini since June of last year. Well, why is this such a big deal? Because Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter loves to be in Cancer, and Jupiter is the planet that really does want to bestow blessings upon us, bring in some abundance, have us look at the bigger picture and ask ourselves, does this support the future me? Jupiter in Cancer is like that fairy godmother placement, hence the wishing on a star energy that I spoke of earlier. This is going to be really nice if you are a Cancer, if you have strong points or placements in Cancer, Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon, Cancer Rising. If your Jupiter falls in the sign of Cancer, you're going into your Jupiter return, which is a once in every 12-year transit. And this can just be said to be a much more auspicious time for you. And for everyone else, you're going to want to check the part of your birth chart that contains Cancer, as Jupiter will be moving through that area of your chart and of your life for the better part of 1 year. And I always say with Jupiter energy, take 1 step toward the gods and they then in turn will take 10 towards you. Well, I don't say that. That's actually a quote by Joseph Campbell, but I always reference that quote when I talk about Jupiter. Because it's the truth. Well, yes, there could be things that come in easily. It also requires our participation. We have to step forward and create opportunities for ourselves to bring in that abundance. When we show spirit that we're serious about what it is that we desire, we can then co-create with spirit. Spirit can then co-create with us. And Jupiter, the fairy godmother, fairy godfather, can bring this forward for us. So it's important to be open to any and all opportunities, even the ones that might not appear to be beneficial at first. This is all about lessons and blessings in the Cancer part of your chart. Talking a little bit more deeply about the Jupiter and Cancer transit, I always say it's very beneficial to look back in order to move ahead. So think back to September of last year, 2024, when Mars entered the sign of Cancer. Mars was in Cancer forever, and then we had a Mars retrograde. It started in Leo and went all the way back into Cancer. So think about September through February. What felt particularly challenging for you? This was likely occurring in the Cancer area of your birth chart, of your life. What that translates into is look at the Jupiter in Cancer transit, the 1-year stint of Jupiter going through Cancer, as receiving a little bit of goodness to what has been troubling you since last September, especially if it's involving relationships and family dynamics. Look for the blessings through the lesson. That's a very strong energy of Jupiter. Jupiter moving into Cancer is quite possibly one of, if not the most beneficial transit of 2025. And it does carry us into 2026. But it might not be right off the top, boom, wonderful things. It might take some time. So just know that it will get sweeter, it will get smoother, it will get nicer, especially in the Cancer areas of your life and of your chart. But you may not even really notice it until we get to like September, October, and November of this year. But it's coming. So enjoy the Jupiter through Cancer transit. We're going to have a really beautiful new moon in Cancer at the end of the month, and that'll be in the June second half reading. So we have that to look forward to. So start vibing on what you want to call in, on what you want to grow in your life that brings forth abundance emotionally, physically, and spiritually. On June 11th, we have a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. This takes place at 3:44 a.m. Eastern Time, 12:44 a.m. Pacific. I don't know why I put it at 6:44. I was probably doing this before coffee. So it's 3:44 a.m. Eastern and 12:44 a.m. Pacific on June 11th. This full moon is known as the strawberry moon in certain cultures and in certain parts of the world. It's known that June-bearing strawberries are ready to be gathered, hence that's why this is called the strawberry moon. June is a time of great abundance for many. The reason for wanting to understand the full moon's impact on your life and on your natal chart, on your birth chart, and in your current reality is incredibly helpful for understanding and managing the deep emotions that arise from within, the feelings of built-up stress and/or crisis, and the internal conflicts and the external conflicts, how they interact and how we manage them, how we work with them. Full moons are always spiritually symbolic of what is coming up to the surface for us personally when we correlate it with our own birth chart. Here's the chart of the Sagittarius full moon taking place June 11th, 3:44 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the sun here at 20 degrees and 39 minutes of Gemini, directly opposite the moon at 20 degrees and 39 minutes of Sagittarius. That's how we have a full moon, when the sun and the moon are in exact opposition to each other, 180 degrees apart from one another. Full moons are going to always pull focus onto the polarities in our lives. It's head versus heart, it's ego versus soul, it's internal versus external, masculine versus feminine. It's about all of the energies rising up from within to show us something that has been obscured and is now being illuminated by the light of the moon. It's also a time of heightened awareness, heightened intuition. Dreams are usually very colorful. Sleep schedules can be very disrupted. We can experience insomnia, or some might experience just sleeping a lot. It depends because it affects all of us differently. While this full moon will affect everyone, it is going to be felt the strongest for our mutable signs, which are Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces, and even more so if you have any of your points and or placements falling between 18 and 22 degrees of any of those signs. There could be a feeling of scatteredness to this full moon, a little bit of anxious energy present, but it also feels very anchored and very grounded. We know what we want. We're seeing things more clearly. We just might not be able to take full-on action yet. This is definitely a full moon to go inward and do some meditation, do a lot of self-reflection, work on quieting the mind, tapping into soul. We've got Jupiter at 0 degrees of Cancer aligned with Mercury. Our soul is speaking to us. It's speaking through us, through symbolism, through metaphors, through signs, synchronicity. So pay close attention to everything. And don't discount it as coincidence. Jupiter and Mercury are in a nice sextile to Venus. Venus is still squaring Pluto, so this could just bring a lot of intensity and heat to whatever it is that's coming up for us. But there's also a desire to do some really deep soul work and transform through any pain that could be experienced, any emotional pain. We've got Saturn and Neptune here aligned in Aries. New beginnings, new ideas, plans and visions for the future. Be sure to check out my Saturn reading. It's linked in the description box below, my Saturn conversation with fellow astrologer Natha Perkins. We go really deeply into more of the spiritual symbolism of Saturn in Aries and what that could mean for all of us, what that will likely mean for all of us. And with Neptune here in Aries, it's about envisioning the future and having courage and being bold, especially and even in the face of adversity. It's about going after what you want and staying in your truth and authenticity. We also have Mars moving into a square with Uranus, which can definitely drive up the heat. It will absolutely add to that scattered feeling. Really think before you speak. That's another strong message with this full moon, because a lot is coming up to the surface. So if you take a minute and you take a step back, you may look at it differently once the full moon passes and you gain clarity. To add on to the tension that's already building up around this full moon, the sun is at 20 degrees of Gemini, the moon is at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, and then we've got the north node of destiny here at 23 degrees of Pisces, and the south node directly opposite at 23 degrees of Virgo. The sun to the north node to the moon, the south node to the sun and the moon. So this full moon is in a square to the nodes of fate, the nodes of destiny. This is what we call a mutable grand cross. This is two very tense aspects, then aspected by another tense aspect. This is comprised of squares and oppositions. This is a mutable grand cross, which can definitely lead to feelings of anxiety, or it could add more to feelings of anxiety and scatteredness as we search for the truth, as we find out the truth, as we hear the truth, as we are the truth. There could be a lot of tension present, a lot of nervous energy. It can feel a little overwhelming, so be sure to go to your spiritual toolbox. Utilize the tools that help to keep you grounded, that bring you back to center, that make you feel calm, because calming the nervous system is going to be imperative around this full moon, and even more, especially if you are highly mutable, which is Sagittarius, Virgo, Pisces, or Gemini. So on one hand, this is a very powerful reminder of where we can move forward and where we cannot. It's also a very powerful reminder how all of our actions have consequence, and also so do our inactions. The sign of Sagittarius is the sign that is ruled by the planet Jupiter, and it speaks to expansive energy. It magnifies everything, and Sagittarius is a sign that's very much connected to the truth, to justice, to the law. So we could see a lot of things coming up in the news or even personally where truths are being revealed, justice is being served, or at least it seems that way. Just off the top, think about what's going on with the Diddy trial, for example. Truths being exposed, too much of a good thing. Jupiter does rule over overindulgence, greed, gluttony. That's the shadow side. The truth shall set you free, and the truth shall be revealed. Another strong message around this Sagittarius full moon. We have to be mindful of getting too big for our britches in one or more ways, of over-promising and then under-delivering or not being able to follow through. We want to watch out for that. That's more of the shadowy side to the Sagittarian Jupiter energy. And of course, a full moon pulling it all up to focus to the surface. There's a really strong energy of karmic retribution surrounding this full moon. Meaning, it's really important to look at the deeper elements to what is going on. So if you're not getting something that you genuinely desire, it's about looking into the deeper meaning of where you are right now and what is going on in your reality and how you think you might have gotten here, whether you love it or whether you don't. There's going to be a lot of powerful reminders here of what is possible and what might not be, where we might have to reroute, change direction. And it's also very important to remember that redirection and rejection are divine protection. So even when we don't see it in the moment, just hang on to the hope that you will see it within the next 6 to 12 months. It's about having trust and faith in the truth and your truth. Sagittarius is all about the truth. It's also about having faith and staying hopeful and staying in that energy of optimism. So even when things might not pan out the way you would like for them to, there's a deeper purpose to that. There's a deeper meaning, and you might not see it just yet, but you will see it. Same goes for things that do work out or that work out differently. Very strong energy of destiny here, but there might be some roadblocks to it. The moon is also aligned with fixed star Razelhade. This fixed star carries with it the energy of Saturn and also Venus. There's a reminder here that everything has consequence. And when it comes to our physical health, I do want to bring this up. We are a lot more receptive in general at this time. And especially if you have anything between 20 and 22 degrees of Gemini, Sagittarius, especially Pisces and or Virgo, you just might want to watch out for overindulgence around the time of this full moon as we're leading up to it and moving a little bit past it, just in general, because we can tend to overdo it under these energies with toxins of all kinds. Positively speaking, this does bring forth good-natured and benevolent energy. It reminds us of how good-hearted others can be and how important it is to be kind to others. And it's also about remembering that things can change quickly. So always savor the good when we have it and be thankful, be grateful, and to extend kindness to others, kindness and compassion. Razelhade is actually in the head of the snake charmer. So it does carry with it the energy of snake vibration. Snakes can slither, they can be sneaky, they can bite, they can inject venom. So if your intuition is telling you that somebody is not right for you or that they're not being honest with you, pay attention to it, but don't hang your hat on it just yet. There's likely something deeper going on, and it will more than likely be revealed to you within the next few months. And that's not going to land the same for everybody. So take what resonates, like I always say, and throw away what does not. I also feel that there's going to be a lot of space news going on around the time of this full moon, and also politics surrounding space. And I'm going to leave it at that. Overall, this is a great full moon for reflection, for meditation. I've linked a full moon meditation in the description box below if you'd like to use it. It's a great time to consciously work on releasing what is no longer serving you, mind, body, spirit, to make way for all of the good, for all that you want to bring in that does support you, mind, body, spirit. Here is where the full moon will fall for you. By your rising sign. I always suggest that you follow your rising sign first for most accuracy, and then you can feel free to also follow your sun sign and even your moon sign if you know it. If you want a deeper explanation as to why we follow the rising sign, again, check out that video in the description box, how we have every sign in our birth chart. If you are Aries rising, this full moon is likely going to pull focus or illuminate anything having to do with your view on the world, and even more specifically, your view on a specific relationship in your life. It's becoming more expansive. You're seeing the bigger picture. Is this something that you really want to continue to connect to? to? Are you still connected to it? There's also a strong energy around expansion. You're realizing a new direction or a new path you'd like to take your life. You're going to take control. Saturn now in your sign is helping you to get more serious, more studious. It's adding to your determination. And some of you may even be in the beginning stages of planning a long distance move or vacation, a trek, a retreat. That's all being supported at this time. You're recognizing there's more to do and you're getting ready to make a plan to do it. Taurus rising, your money is going to be of high focus for you. Your investments, your finances, especially those finances that are tied up within an institution or with another person, relationships, relationship dynamics, issues around trust and or intimacy, fear and betrayal. All of this is going to be highlighted under this full moon energy. You're likely feeling compelled to go inward. This is a great full moon for reflection. A lot of focus on the way that you let true intimacy happen with others or do not. That will be coming up for you around this full moon. Gemini rising, this full moon is going to pull a lot of focus onto all of the relationships and associations in your current reality in your life. You may connect a lot of dots from the past to the present, recognizing where you may need to do some more work and or where you may need to let go. You may also be in the process of negotiations and contracts that have to do with real estate and or a business, and information will likely be coming up for you around this full moon regarding these relationships and associations. Cancer rising, some of you may be experiencing digestive disturbances around this full moon, likely before and maybe a little bit after. So just try to take control of that. You're going to be feeling very motivated to look into what might be causing these issues. For some, it might be dairy. For some, it might be gluten. But there's a strong focus on getting this right and getting your health sorted. It's also about putting together the right schedule for your daily life, your routines, your habits. Your sleep is also very significant. A lot will be coming up for you around this full moon regarding these areas. Leo rising, this full moon can bring in some fun situations, but you have to let go and allow them to be. There's potential to feel a lot of joy. This full moon can highlight your friendly, competitive spirit. You may find yourself feeling much more connected to the children in your life, whether they're your children or just children in your life that are around you. You could be feeling much more motivated to connect to your own inner child, to have fun. And there's a stronger focus on your own personal hobbies and pursuits of what set your soul on fire. This is all about releasing what is not contributing to the joy in your life or making a plan to do so. Virgo rising, this full moon is going to pull a lot of focus onto your personal life, your emotional life, your foundations. How is all of that feeling for you? Are you happy with where you live? Are you happy with your office? You could also find yourself really focusing on family dynamics, especially those of the past and especially those that have to do with siblings. There's also going to be a strong focus on cultivating a family if you've been feeling lonely. You're going to be feeling much more compelled to take control and create that family of choice, and perhaps reconnecting to family of origin that you've lost contact with. Many of you are literally redecorating or remodeling your home or making a plan to do so, and investments are also really strong for you. Libra rising, there's a strong focus on your throat chakra around this full moon, speaking your truth, communicating with care, but there's a really strong reminder that you have to communicate honestly, openly, and authentically, and not be so worried about how it's going to be received. As long as you're doing it kindly and honestly, all should be well. There's a strong focus on communication in your relationships around this full moon. You may be required to speak a truth that otherwise you wouldn't be ready to speak, but it's time. The truth shall set you free. Next to Sagittarius, you're the other sign, the most strongly connected to the truth and to what's fair and to what's right. And this full moon's going to pull focus onto that. Scorpio rising, there's going to be a very strong focus on your relationships and the value that you place within and on your relationships, and also on self and how these relationships are affecting your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health. Also, the way that you make your living will be a focus for you around this full moon. You could get news of a new offer that has you really questioning your commitment and your connections to what it is that you do to make money, or what you might want to do to make more money, how you connect to all of that, what you're truly valuing at this point in your life. All of that will be under review under this full moon. And the way it connects to your personal relationships as well, how it shapes them. Sagittarius rising, this is your full moon. This is a great time to reassess and reevaluate what is not working for you, mind, body, spirit. This is a great full moon to reassess your health priorities, what you're doing out in the world, your relationships. It's fabulous for releasing what's no longer serving you and setting intentions for growth. Capricorn rising, you might feel like you just want to take a beat and hide around this full moon. It could be very powerful, bringing up strong emotions, especially involving the past and past relationships. Dare I say ghosts from the past? You can find yourself circling back to something that was said in a specific relationship that really hurt you, and you've tucked it away, and now it's coming back out. Think of it as coming back out to be released and healed for good. This is a great full moon for meditation, for strong spiritual work, for deepening an existing spiritual practice, or beginning a new one. You're probably not going to feel very social around this full moon, and that's perfectly okay. That's exactly where you need to be. Aquarius rising. This full moon can find you very passionate about a group that you're a part of, a charity that you support. Your friendships are of high focus, working with your friends for a common cause, recognizing where you're no longer aligning with certain friendships or groups is also a strong energy around this full moon. You may find yourself distancing from specific groups or friendships that are just no longer serving you, serving your soul. There's a lot of recognition around that, around this full moon. Pisces rising. You will find yourself reassessing your personal life and your professional life, especially around this full moon, and the way that they connect and how they support who you are today. A lot of you might find yourself in the midst of wanting a career change or wanting to move, perhaps both. And this could all be happening around this full moon for you. Or truths are being brought to the surface that are putting you in a situation where you now want to switch your job, begin a new one, start your own business, stay at home. You could be feeling all over the place with this, and this full moon is going to bring a lot up to the surface for you. So be sure to take a minute, go into some quiet reflection and meditation, and allow your soul to speak to you. But this full moon will definitely be focusing a lot on both your personal and professional standing and the way that you feel about it. Pay close attention to that because that's going to give you the glimmers into what you need to do next. That's your intuition. Now let's talk about one of the biggest transits, the biggest energies that color the year of 2025. I'll also link in the description box my January 2025 or my 2025 overview forecast where I go a lot more deeply into the transits that color the whole entire year. So if you have not already taken a listen to that or watched that, you may want to. So again, that's linked in the description box below. Moving on to June 9th, we see that Saturn is now here at 1 degree of Aries and Neptune is at 2 degrees of Aries. They're hovering quite close. Now, this is the first time that any of us here alive today will see this, have seen this, will see this. It's extremely significant, and this will remain in effect until August 23rd. Now, in 2026, Saturn and Neptune will align exact, and we're going to talk more about that as we move closer to the exactitude of these energies. But just know that from June 9th to August 23rd, Saturn and Neptune are hovering quite close. They're in what we call conjunction, very tight, only 1 degree apart in the sign of Aries, the very first sign of the zodiac. Why is this significant? Well, Saturn is all about structure, discipline, it's responsibility, it's the practicalities of life, it's what's grounded. And then we bring in Neptune, and Neptune is this energy of the unconscious realms. Neptune is associated with intuition, with dreams, with idealism, the unknown. It's also a planet that's very much closely linked to addiction and how we check out or how we can tend to bury our head in the sand. And then with Saturn here, bringing in that structure and that reality check or checks, there's also going to be a lot of new coming in, a lot of innovation, also a lot of recognition of the patterns and the people that are not what we thought them to be. So a lot of disenchantment with leadership, public figures, old systems, old structures, and breaking them down and building forth the new. Neptune dissolves boundaries. Saturn is the boundaries. We need both. We need the enchantment. We need the boundaries. And in Aries, it's about blazing forward and blazing new trails, becoming much more centered in our own sovereignty, our individuality, taking agency over oneself. So just real quick, just to tap back into Saturn. Saturn entered Aries back on May 24th or 25th for a 2+ year transit. Saturn and Neptune will align in July closely. We are being called to action with Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. This transit is going to be all about developing both collective and personal courage and strength. It's also going to bring in a redefining of leadership, and it's also going to be strongly associated with balancing our own impulsivity with discipline. We see on May 25th when Saturn entered Aries that Saturn and Neptune are aligned quite close. Neptune is at 1 degree of Aries, Saturn at 0. Then Neptune will station retrograde on July 5th at 2 degrees of Aries. Saturn will then station retrograde on the 13th of July at 1 degree of Aries. And they're going to join up at that first degree from July 31st through August 16th. So you're probably going to want to flag this time period. Pay really close attention to what is coming up for you personally. Of course, naturally, collectively. This is also going to affect our collective health, our healthcare systems, medicines, restrictions, unfortunately, more than likely, new illnesses and then new medications, toxins, pollutants, the air that we breathe, where we're allowed to go. It's all going to be up for question and review. It's also about being very discerning about whom and what we choose to follow, what we choose to listen to, what we choose to subscribe to. So again, just take note, this is in effect right now and will be in effect, but it will be exact Saturn and Neptune at that first degree of Aries from July 31st through August 16th. Especially on the world stage, we're going to want to pay attention to what is coming up, what's being spoken about the most, especially when it comes to restrictions, health, gasoline. Those are just a few of the topics. The last time, for frame of reference, the last time that Saturn and Neptune aligned like this was in Capricorn, and that was back in 1989 and 1990. They were conjunct, same as now. Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Aries, very tight by degree. They were conjunct like this in Capricorn because this alignment of Saturn and Neptune happens roughly every 36 years. So the last time we had the Saturn-Neptune conjunction was in Capricorn in 1989 and 1990, same as now and 2026. And in 1989 is when the Berlin Wall came down. Think about it. The Berlin Wall is the structure, the form, and Neptune is the dissolution of the structure. Very literal. Sometimes it's like that. Now, I went back in history a little bit here, and I just wanted to talk about quickly some key historical Saturn-Neptune conjunctions and associated events with these alignments. Going all the way back to 1666, as recorded, Saturn and Neptune were both in Capricorn conjunction, and the Great Plague of London was rampant. In 1846, we had the conjunction in Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is the sign of science and revolution and forward thinking, technological advancements in medicine, advancements in science. And this brought about the public demonstration of ether anesthesia. This was in Massachusetts by dentist and physician William Morton. This is where they use the liquid diethol, also known as ether, to induce a state of unconsciousness and painlessness during surgical procedures. And this is when it was first introduced. It was then widely employed in the 19th century. This was a big deal. Advancements, innovation, Neptune, medication, narcotics, anesthesia. That also falls under Neptune's domain. In 1917, Saturn and Neptune aligned in Leo. And this conjunction coincided with the Russian Revolution and America's entry into World War I. 1952 to 1953, the same conjunction in Libra. This is where we saw the death of Stalin, the end of the Korean War, and the division of North and South Korea. And then the most current Saturn-Neptune alignment, as mentioned earlier, was in 1989. And this marked the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Tiananmen Square protests. And there were more in the 1800s and such, but you get the gist. What we can expect with Saturn and Neptune aligning in Aries, it's a really potent combination of these energies. So this could lead to absolute social upheaval and, of course, change. This can trigger periods of intense societal transformation and then personal transformation. These two can combine. Could also bring forth some health concerns. Saturn-Neptune cycles of the past tend to always link back to health situations, potential health challenges, such as pandemics. Think back to 1666 with the Great Plague in London, for example. Hopefully not. But with that also comes advancements with medicine and with curing disease, curing illness. More positively, individual growth is extremely strong. And of course, as we know, the individual growth leads to the collective growth. Pluto in Aquarius, it's all about the communities that we create, the way that we come together for a common cause, more cooperation, more collaboration, hopefully less division. Aries is the sign of the individual. So it can be really pulling us forward to reassess our values and our priorities. This leads to massive personal growth and transformation and development, which then of course ripples out into the collective. Again, I'm going to plug that Saturn conversation, Saturn in Aries. It's linked right here in the description box. Now, this current Saturn-Neptune alignment, it actually began in Pisces, but it's going to culminate in Aries. It's going to take us all the way through 2028, to be technical. We can just expect it to bring about a tremendous shift in societal structures and values, and then, of course, our personal structures and values. And it's going to bring about a lot of opportunity for personal transformation and growth. Of course, you're going to want to look to the part of your birth chart that contains Aries for more insights. Now, moving along, June 14th through the 23rd, we've got Jupiter, the expander, in a square with Saturn, the contractor. Saturn's the restrictor. Jupiter wants us to stretch. It wants us to grow. It wants to bring in the goodness. And Saturn's that hard stop energy. Saturn's like, well, not right at the moment. There's still work to do. I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but I do feel that this time period could bring forth a lot about medical, a lot about health, potential new bugs or strains. I'm going to pray that out, but unfortunately, we're already seeing some things cropping up from other parts of the world, and we all know that it's only a matter of time before it impacts where we are currently, and that's for everybody, because we are all connected, collectively speaking, regardless of where we are in the world. So just pay closer attention if you're out and about during this time. Pay attention to what you're experiencing, pay attention to what you're hearing and how it feels. Use your discernment. That's always key, first and foremost. We're also going to have Jupiter in a square with Neptune, which can just further pull forth that element of some potential health barriers, healthcare barriers. Take extra good care of your body at this time. And of course, your spirit. It's all connected. Just know that this time period can also feel a little bit foggy, as if we're underwater trying to communicate and trying to connect, and everything feels a little bit more soggy and a little bit more saturated, and we're diving deep to the bottom to pull up clarity, to pull up what we need to help us. This is a little bit of a tender corner here, okay? So like I always say, be chill and be still. Take a moment, go inward, reassess, reevaluate, realign. This could feel like a little bit of a mini Mercury retrograde, even though it is not. Don't forget, Mercury is also in Cancer at this time, kind of mucking up the waters. And the Jupiter squares to both Saturn and Neptune is only going to further enhance that. And then we get to June 13th. Mars moves to 28 degrees of Leo and is in now an exact square with Uranus in Taurus at 28 degrees. This is an energy of collision. Could be literal, so you want to be extra conscious and extra careful, especially when you're operating machinery such as vehicles, instruments of all kinds. Also watch your temper. This is going to be especially strong if you're fixed, which is Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. And if you even take it one step further, if you're in the later degrees of any of those signs, like think 26 to 29, you may want to just pay extra close attention. It's really important to be very conscious of movement, conscious of your mouth, what you're saying, what you're speaking, what you're thinking, all of that. This energy can be a little bit, I don't want to use the word explosive, but it can be. And cars are featuring strongly at this time. So just watch out for that. Just pay extra close attention. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. Don't go. Honor your intuition at this time. Always, but especially at this time. If it's telling you to stay away from something or someone or somewhere, you're going to want to honor that. And then we get to June 17th and Mars enters Virgo. Mars will enter Virgo 4:35 a.m. Eastern Time and will remain in Virgo until August 6th. Mars, the warrior in the sign of earthy, practical, structured Virgo. This is an energy of strategy. Remember, Mars wants us to act, but Virgo asks us to strategize. And it wants us to be very practical about what we're hoping to attain. And are the efforts that we are making, is the way that we're working and how we're doing it, is this all constructive to our desired outcome? It's also about recognizing that perfection is an impossibility and there is a point when it is enough. It's about strategy. It's about plans. It's about schedules. It gets our gears going, but it's really about strategic action. Taking action when and where it makes sense. And if it doesn't, just making a plan for when we can take action later on down the line. That's Mars in Virgo. Collectively speaking, we all operate this way while Mars is in Virgo. So there you have the first half of June with a focus on the full moon in Sagittarius. I will come back with another reading for the second part of June, which features the summer solstice and a gorgeous new moon in Cancer. I have a lot to say about that, so that's going to be a separate reading coming out soon. The end of June is calling back more light, literally, and of course, symbolically. It's about bringing forth the new. It's about new life. It's about rebirth. Warmth, vitality. It is a reflection point, a recognition point, a recalibration point. So I will be back with that. Take really good care. Don't forget I have readings open for July. You can find all of my links, all of my content in the description box below, and also by visiting my website, lisasalvatore.com. I have 2 membership options. If you'd like to hear about that, I will link it right here at the end of this video. Hello, everyone. Warm wishes for a happy and healthy 2025. I am so excited to be here with all of you, all of my beautiful subscribers, and to continue to put out supportive content. I will continue to give you astrological and intuitive updates. My channel will not be changing. I will be doing new moon and full moon readings, along with some insights through the signs, monthly astrological and energetic updates, astrology updates overall, and some more how-to videos, readings on current events, etc. None of that will change. That will all still be here on my channel, but I am excited to roll out a few new options for 2025. Here on YouTube, I now have a membership. That membership is $7.99 a month. You do not have to join the membership, but you can if you want to. And with that membership encompasses is obviously all of the general free content that is out there and will continue to be out there, but with more exclusive content. So every Sunday, I go live and I give the astrological and energetic forecast for the upcoming week. And we have some spiritual chit chat there. There's a live chat. Now that is going to be sent to you with the YouTube membership by recording. If you wanted to be a part of the live stream, I have another subscription, which is based on Substack, which is where I have my newsletter and where I am the most interactive. And that will also be linked in the description box below if you're interested in that. But the Substack membership is $10 a month, okay, to be transparent, or $100 per year. And every Sunday, I do go live and I give the astrological and energetic update and forecast. And it's, like I said, it's interactive and I answer questions. And then monthly, I do a live Zoom where I go into more details for each month, readings through the signs. And in those monthly lives, there's also the opportunity to be read, both astrologically and psychically, combination of the two. That is with my Substack subscription. That is with my newsletter subscription, to be clear. The YouTube subscription, the one that is $7.99 a month, you will get the recordings of everything that I do on my Substack newsletter. To join the YouTube subscription, all you have to do is go right to my homepage and just click join. And once again, thank you to all of my amazing subscribers. I'm so thankful and grateful to each and every one of you. I'm also grateful that I get to provide this content, and I really hope that it supports you on your spiritual journey.